The Isle 95.9.
It is still commend or recommend. I'm Big Daddy MoyoLagos.
My name still remains OmoBea, and it promises to be an interesting one today because we have with us in the studio, someone who will be analyzing some of these stories with us this morning on Commend or Recommend. Would like to get his thoughts. Is he commending? Is he recommending? Of course, we know that this is the Good Nigeria show, so there is no condemnation now. For you that are in the R95.9
That's right.
FM. Well, we have here with us in the studio Dr. Idahosa Osamhanze. Good morning.
Good morning. I said you not greet me. As Moyo. Thank you so good morning. I was a bit jealous. MoyoLagos. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me this morning.
All right. So let's go now to this other interesting story here on Commend or Recommend. The federal government pledges to revive moribund steel companies. And what the story is telling us is that the federal government has indicated plans to revive all moribund steel companies in the country more than 2 decades after a failed privatization drive left once thriving plants across Nigeria in ruins. And it stated that the resuscitation of steel assets, whether privatized or government-owned, will ensure they contribute to national development as originally envisaged.
Interesting.
I don't know. So, Doctor, well, this is a good one. One would think that's the first thing that will come to your mind, that, oh, finally. But we have had situations where, for decades now, we've been doing turnaround maintenance. We've been doing some rehabilitation of our refineries, and it's not been working. We've expended trillions of naira, and it's not been working. Is it time for us now to move on to, steel companies? Can we fix that first? Can we work on that first before moving on? So what do you think?
What can we do differently?
Exactly. Differently from what has been done as regards the refineries.
Well, I think the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu shouldn't bother themselves putting money on these steel refineries.
Okay, why?
The reasons are quite simple. And over the years, we've done this back and forth with a lot of industry. Let me just take the one that is of common knowledge, Idahosa State Complex. For example, Idahosa State Complex had gone through thick and thin since 1960. And up to now, we've not gotten anything substantial. And I think in the last regime of Goodluck Jonathan, that thing was sold to some Indian company who were exploiting the factories and do nothing about it. The government of now leads Muhammad Buhari had to buy that back from the Indian company,
yes.
Which says the nation's hard-earned money. And at the end of the day, out to now, there is nothing that is, no steel is dropping from Idahosa Steel Complex. And I think this had been the trajectory because the problem is that you have a nation where, of course, the approach to public administration seems to be prismatic, where you have the people, the more we tend to say we are one, the more separated we become. And people really are not interested to see the project succeed. So everybody just get there to take his own share of the cake. So rather than go on that route again, and I think that it is better. Yes, of course, we can open the space for investors to come in. If government can get people who are willing to invest in that area, it makes a lot of sense. But to take the hard-earned money of the country, sinking in those projects, doesn't really sound right.
So we should be looking at either concession or privatization or PPPs.
You see, because the truth of the matter is, take for example, the complex that was sold. It was on a value sold.
Yes.
True. And all the assets of that company has been balkanized and vandalized by those who bought it, the way, of course, happened to this school. The first thing they did was to first sell off all the assets, and what is remaining is not. But I tell you, if they want to sell back to the government, they are going to be pricing at the original money they bought from without the assets, and they want government to buy back, and it will result in a whole lot of legal issues. So I feel what government should be at is get people who are interested, let them set up their steel factory. We have the coal here, so we can take advantage of the natural resources and empower private sector to drive that sector of the economy, not government directly involved.
Alrighty. The steel companies, because of the lack of the steel companies, Nigeria is drained of $4.5 billion annually. It exposes critical sectors in the global market to shocks as well. So one thing we would say, we want to hear your thoughts based on the analysis of Dr. Osamhanze in the studios. What are your thoughts? Hit us up on social media: Facebook, the R95.9 app, on X or Twitter, the R959, Instagram, the R959.
Let's get your thoughts as regards revitalizing Nigeria's steel sector. Let's look at antecedents as well. What has the government done as regards rehabilitation and turnaround maintenance? Do you think we should still be spending our money on these moribund, plans, urban plans, and whatnot?
Literally across the nation.
Or do you agree with Doctor, who thinks that there's something different should be done this time around?
Yeah.
Let the private sector come on board. Anybody that can afford to do it, let them come and do something. This is Folded by Kelani. Where we come back, commend or recommend continues.
The Isle 95.9.
Beginning now with us, it is still the R95.9 FM. Commend or recommend is the story that we're looking at this, or is the segment that we're currently on. And we still have Dr. Idahosa Osamhanze with us in the studio. And now moving on to our next story. MoyoLagos is also still here.
Yes, yeah.
And then we also, my name still remains OmoBea. OmoBea. Okay.
All right, let's move on to the next story right here. FEC approves 13 billion naira compensation under the Lagos Power Project and OK's major national grid upgrades. All right, so we're going to dive into this story right now. The FEC, which is the Federal Executive Council, has approved 13 billion naira for compensation payments under the Lagos Transmission Industrial Project, part of a broader push to modernize Nigeria's power infrastructure and strengthen electricity supply for industrial growth. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, made this note on Wednesday at the FEC meeting that was chaired by the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. During this meeting, the FEC approved 13 billion naira for compensation under the Lagos Transmission Industrial Project, backed by a 328 million naira loan from Japan International Cooperation Agency. And the minister said that the project will boost electricity to industrial corridors in both Lagos and Ogun State, ensuring that manufacturers receive stable power supply. So these are basically the FEC has greenlit the upgrades for the national grid as well. And they said that the council approved 3 proposals relating to the procurement of new power transformers to upgrade the aging national grid. All right. What are our thoughts on this so far? Doctor?
Well, I think the president himself had made a pledge in one of his campaign in 2023 that if after 4 years he cannot fix electricity, people should not vote for him.
I think we should not forget he said that.
So, of course, people may forget it and it will not forget. I think it's nice to see that we're doing hard to see how we can invest in the electricity sector in Nigeria, especially in the area of distribution. I was happy the other day when I heard that National Assembly were thinking about revoking the license of all the discos for underperforming. And I've been wondering why the National Assembly has not taken this stance up to this point. Because, you see, what happened was that these guys cashed out with NEPA or PHCN, as it was then called, all the assets and liabilities they inherited. But there is no substantial investment by the DISCO on the electricity sector. They can't even give you a common meter, not to talk about transformer. Consumers buy their meters, buy their transformers, buy their poles, and they just collect the money. And I think that is not the right way to do business. Because if NEPA were collecting money just like that, nobody would have just said, let's start. Because these guys are taking just free money. They need to work for their money. They need to bring in investment into that sector.
No, but yeah, Doctor, if you look at it, from another angle, the fact that when these people came on board, it's supposed to be a prepaid situation. If it is service reflective, if all of these things service, all you have to do is provide power, I'll pay. It's unlike before where it's estimated billing. It is whatever bill they bring to you, and you have accumulated bills, but you still be having isn't it supposed to be easier?
OmoBea, the truth of the matter is that we just live in an environment where people don't take responsibility. Because if you want to play in a sector, you must be ready to put your money down. When they talk about a cost-reflective tariff, we don't even know what these costs are. We don't know what the costs are. See, they need to give us the cost template to say, what does it cost to buy 1 unit of electricity from the electricity generation companies? What does it cost for transmission? And what is the cost of distribution? Without loading the templates with hidden charges that people can see. So what you see play out here is the fact that we are living in an environment where people are close to the source of power, and therefore they can tweak things. This sale, of course, many of them didn't have the money. Government backed them with loan to buy their property. And then they go and sell those property. You need to look at it. If you used to know Falomo, you see very massive building of PSC and NEPA. Where is that building? It's sold. Yeah. And that was it across the Federation. All those buildings are sold, and they made money out of it. And now they have not invested in the money. Now, even the people who consume electricity, they want to buy meter. Yeah. People put money down to buy meter. 3 months, 2 months, they can get meter.
It's true.
So which means this is deliberate. If you really see it as a problem and you're looking for money, of course, you go to IPO, people can raise funds to say, okay, I give you meter, I'm going to be deducting this money from your meter over a period of 3 years. And every year you recharge, every day you recharge, I take some percentage of your recharge as cost of recovering your meter. So what we're doing is that people get into a business, they don't have the competence or the capacity to thrive. Yeah. And now and then they go back to government. And then, of course, government must look for a way to subsidize it. And if it's a contract, you have to always reevaluate those contracts and then get more money. Now, here we're talking about compensation. Who is being compensated, really?
So that's what I was going to go to, because when you say compensation on a Lagos power project, who are the people that are being compensated? The people, the consumers? Is it the disco companies? Is it Genco? Is it Lagos State government? What exactly is going on as regards this particular compensation? Because it's being projected as something that we should be grateful for.
Yeah, so it's their due. So if you're talking compensation, it means that somebody would have suffered a loss,
which is
that means the government is trying to see how to recover those losses, or maybe somebody had done an investment and of course they need to recoup those investment part. So these things are not clear, but some people really need to get this money to their pocket. So anyhow, we can give it a name. We are compensating people. Are we building a new road infrastructure to say, okay, maybe on a new power dam? Are you to say that people own crops around those environment, like we're talking about the coastal road, where of course you have people's property that is going to be touched by this construction, that you say, okay, these people need to be compensated. Who actually is being compensated?
All right, that's the big question here. Recommend. We've been talking about the approval for the upgrade of the national grid approved by the FEC. The FEC has said that the purchase of 14 high-capacity transformers will cost $34 million, as well as an additional 5.2 billion naira. And they say this is good news for Nigerians. And so we hope that Adelabu, the Minister for Power, knows what he's doing, and that we reap the fruits of this seeds that are being invested.
The Isle 95.9.
Still comment or recommend. Moving on to the next story. Adopt Ghana's customs funding model. Federal government has been urged. So what's this funding model? Let's check it out. The National Council of Managing Directors of Licensed Customs Agents has urged the federal government to adopt Ghana's customs processes in financing the Nigeria Customs Service. So, the Council of Managing Directors of Licensed Customs Agency emphasized that Ghana's custom operations are funded from an allocated share of 3% of total import duty and value-added tax collections. At the same time, 0.4% is assigned to the customs technology platform. And they're comparing it to Nigeria's model, which has adopted a more transparent, cost-efficient, and internationally compliant approach to funding customs operations. So according to the under Ghana's Exports and Imports Amendment Act 585 of 2000, importers pay an inspection fee capped at 2% of the total dutiable cost, insurance, and freight value. The federal government should adopt this process in financing the NCS because it is believed that this process is best because the structure ensures that charges are tied directly to service delivery and it simplifies accountability, prevents arbitrary cost escalation. They also said that Ghana's model demonstrates how a capped, transparent, and proportionate cost structure coupled with government-managed inspection infrastructure supports compliance with global standards. So what do you think? Because there's a lot that's happening with the, customs in recent times. The whole, I've forgotten as if the fall for the FOB or store. Yeah, the FOB conversation and all of that. And then the customs duty. There's a lot of customs duty that's been coming on in recent times. And there's also port congestion as well. There's also a lot as regards, customs here in Nigeria. So do you recommend the Ghana's process for us as well?
I don't. At least I have 1 over 3, right?
I don't
think so. And I think speaking with a very senior custom officer last week, still looking at his issue of the FOB of 4%.
Yes.
Which of course custom wish to take directly from country of origin of any goods that is Nigeria banned. And what that will do for us as a people is it helps us actually mop up so much money from importers who want to cut corners. And there are goods that are destined to come to Nigeria as final destination, and they wire it through Benin Republic and pay something off, and then they bring it through the road route into Nigeria. Then we are losing money. So even when we're collecting 7%, you see, you have like 10,000 people who are importing, only 3,000 coming here, and you collect 7%, and it doesn't really amount to anything. But now customs is saying, well, customs actually a kind of a treaty between nations. That is what it is. And that, of course, it goes to that moving across nations. And so we're saying we have treaties with all of the basic countries, and we're saying collect our money where you are selling goods. If this good is going to Nigeria, no matter where it's coming through, whether it's going to come through Gap or come through Ghana or come anywhere,
it's coming from,
as long as it's coming to Nigeria's final destination, we have 4% directly from the source before it enters container. That way we are blocking all loopholes and we are not losing any.
Once that looks good for customs and looks good for, accountability and for us to be able to trace, funds, the people has, a convenience at this point now, because that means that by the time they have to pay, all those corners that have been cut will now be clear. So everybody has to pay what is, transparent or what is obtainable.
OmoBea, my professor taught me in school that if a man has been benefiting from his system, it will amount to what they call political harakiri for him to work against that system. So it's a kind of a class suicide. I know that clearing agents are not comfortable.
Yeah.
Because everything is becoming clearer. You see, when you are dealing with a people, you also have to understand the behavior of the people that you are dealing with. Most countries are very compliant. And somehow there's a nature of unruly or lawlessness that is wired into most of our TNAs. And people want to do things under the carpet. We don't want to be as straightforward. You see, Ghana is able to do a lot that they are doing because they are people. They're just nice people. The West government says this is the rule, everybody they keep by it. But here, people don't play by the rules. Everybody is looking for ways to circumvent the rules.
Yes.
And so government must also be looking for ways to maximize its resources. Why these same people who are circumventing the rules of government on the one hand and ensuring that revenues are not coming into the hands of government, on the other hand, they also complain that government is not doing so much. And so we want government to do so much, but we don't want to support that government to succeed. It is amounting to eating your cake and still want to have it in your hand. So I think that they are just looking for something that would be convenient for them. But I think we should do something that is best practice and what is done globally so that we can recover what belongs to us as a nation.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Osamhanze. You broke it down perfectly. There are some analysts that do say that there seems to be some duplication and contradiction, especially when it comes to, the processes in the port. And they are hoping that
duties and fees.
Yes, with duties and fees. We're hoping that they can harmonize things and simplify the process as well as minimize the port costs.
The new tax law will deal with all of that. Custom is no longer a revenue agency.
Yeah.
Of course, the National Revenue Service collect all on behalf of the nation. And some of all these duplications are gone because a standard organization, NAFDAC, all of all these are no longer entitled to collect revenue at the port. And so a lot of this duplication is going. Nigeria is getting cleaner. And of course, we will have it's hygienic and sanitized
economy.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been I recommend. I think it's time for us to hop on out from this next segment. When we come back on the flip side of 10 a.m., we're going to do tourism picks. Yes, we'll do tourism picks.
The Isle 95.9.
Hi, my name is OmoBea, also known as Omobola Sandra for short. I co-host the Good Nigeria show on the Isle 95.9 FM. If you like the video you just watched, do well to like and subscribe for more content.